They got beat.
Now here's the play. Oh! LeBron called for the offensive foul, and then he gets teed up.
You put your knee up on a guy who goes straight up, they call a foul. So don't whine and complain. That's the same play they called on Shane Battier.
The day is June 1st, 2013, and the Indiana Pacers have forced a Game 7 against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Led by Roy Hibbert's 24 points and 11 rebounds, he smothered the defending champions on defense, keeping the non-LeBron James options on offense out of the paint and off of the glass. The Heat looked borderline unbeatable during their 27-game winning streak in their regular season that year, and the Pacers were one game away from stopping a repeat. Would the Miami Heat stave off the upset and go on to make their third straight NBA Finals? Or would the Indiana Pacers do what they've done all season and make the Miami Heat's offense vanish like many opponents before them? Welcome back, you guys, and today we're looking at two role players during the years 2013 and 2014 that battled LeBron James in the playoffs. Two players that forced the NBA's four-time MVP to adjust on the fly. This is one of my favorite videos I've made, so I hope you watch all the way through. But first, today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. Guys, exciting times are ahead of us because the NFL is back, and that means my upload schedule is going to be more scuffed than it already is, because I'm going to be sitting back for hours watching the games. And the best part is you and I don't have to put on pads to win some money, because I've partnered up with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official partner of the National Football League, to bring new customers an exciting way to join in on the action. New customers can download the DraftKings app, use my promo code Kane, bet just $5, and instantly receive $200 in bonus bets. You can do that with DraftKings' same game parlays. You can combine multiple bets from the same game to give yourself a shot at even bigger winnings. And if you live in a state where sports betting is not available, you can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code Kane. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code Kane, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. It was between the years 2012 and 2013 where it seemed LeBron James had perfectly crafted the skill set he had been working on since he first picked up a basketball. His biggest accomplishments ranged from being one of only 3 NBA players to ever win 4 Most Valuable Player awards, to leading the Miami Heat to a 27-game winning streak, the third longest in NBA history. You also can't forget his legendary back against the wall 45-point night in Game 6 of the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals against his longtime rivals in Boston, which put a pause to the endless debate of, is LeBron clutch?
I hope now you guys can stop talking about LeBron and that he doesn't play in big games. He was pretty good tonight, so now that's to bed. We can go ahead and play Game 7.
He followed up that 45-point game against the Celtics with 31 points and 12 rebounds in Game 7 to win the series, which was followed by defeating the upstart Oklahoma City Thunder in 5 games, securing his long-awaited championship.
It's about damn time. It's about damn time.
But by next year, a team in the East would be waiting in the wings, looking to get even with the Miami Heat. Here arrives the Indiana Pacers, a defensive-minded team anchored by their 7'2", 270-pound center, Roy Hibbert. The Pacers lost to the Heat in a competitive 6-game series in the second round the previous season, unable to stop the two-man avalanche that was D. Wade and LeBron. Even though they were sent home, fans and media around the league gave credit and respect to Indiana for pushing Miami harder than most people thought. But the Pacers didn't care about getting respect from the league. Their goal was to become the first Eastern Conference team since the 2010 Boston Celtics to beat LeBron James in the playoffs, and they'd get that opportunity to do so in next year's Eastern Conference Finals.
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth, all right? So that's fine, you know? I'm going to be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
Going into the 2012-2013 season, some NBA analysts expected Indiana to continue the momentum from the playoffs, expecting a top 2 finish in the conference. Indiana was one of the league's deepest teams and had multiple ways to slow the game down on offense. They could dump the ball down to their burly front court of Roy Hibbert and David West, or play on the perimeter with a third-year forward from Fresno State named Paul George and a 6'8" forward that averaged 20 points per game for 3 straight seasons named Danny Granger. But it was their defense that wreaked havoc over the NBA. A defense constructed by Frank Vogel, the NBA's youngest head coach at the time of his signing. Vogel's defense was backed by Roy Hibbert. In both the 2013 and 2014 season, the Indiana Pacers were the #1 ranked defense. Vogel's philosophy was simple. No one gets clean looks in the paint, and they did that by keeping Roy Hibbert in drop coverage to use his length to wall off shots. Hibbert gained a reputation for using verticality at the rim to avoid foul trouble. Instead of hunting for a block, he would put his arms straight up. If you had to highlight one moment of Hibbert's impact during that time, show this block of him on Carmelo Anthony in Game 6 of the 2013 Eastern Semifinals. When reporters asked LeBron if he thinks he would hesitate if he saw Hibbert in the paint after seeing Melo get denied, LeBron responded with a simple, "Me? Why would he hesitate? LeBron has an endless highlight reel of deleting paint defenders. Hibbert was just one more clip for the tape, right?" Not exactly. A closer look tells us that LeBron knew Hibbert's presence at the rim meant either look for other ways to score outside the paint or get into a clash at the rim. LeBron's reluctance to attack the rim when Hibbert was in the paint was noticed by Steve Kerr on the TNT broadcast.
We've been waiting for LeBron to challenge Hibbert all game at the rim, and you see why he hasn't.
In Miami, LeBron would usually finish practice by shooting free throws with Ray Allen, but in the lead up to the 2013 conference finals, LeBron was practicing a different shot, something he rarely took and rarely practiced: the floater. How often did we see LeBron use a floater? Not very often. In his own words, "I just dust it off when I need it." Stats showed LeBron was moving different on offense against the Pacers, and especially when Hibbert was sitting in the paint waiting for him. According to ESPN, LeBron made 9 floaters over Hibbert in the games they played in 2012 and 2013. Not to mention, LeBron scored fewer points per game in the paint against Indiana than any other team. How about one more stat? Over the 6 games in the 2012 playoffs, the 3 games Miami played in the 2013 regular season, and in Game 1 of the 2013 conference finals, LeBron took a total of 210 shots against the Pacers and made 106. According to ESPN, only 4 of those made shots came from him going at Hibbert at the basket head on. Now, I remember that series. LeBron attacked Hibbert in the paint, which led to fouls, and that doesn't count towards the stat, but it was clear from watching the games, LeBron just did not have the right angles when Hibbert was in the paint. Hibbert's height is a clear problem, but he could match LeBron's strength on contact. Not many centers could. That's what made Hibbert so difficult to go against. Did it ultimately matter though? No. The Heat were able to dispose of the Pacers in a Game 7 blowout to get back to the finals, and the Heat beat them again the next season in an anticlimactic 6-game series. But Roy Hibbert had a moment as one of the league's most feared defenders, forcing one of the game's greats to dust off a shot he almost never used at the time. It's October 2013 and the Miami Heat are receiving their championship rings on opening night. The last time the world saw LeBron James play competitive basketball was 5 months earlier in the NBA Finals, where we saw him overcome the San Antonio Spurs' strategy specifically designed to stop him. The Spurs did not care about the Miami Heat's support players. Their main goal was to stop the NBA's 4-time MVP from entering the paint and force him to take jump shots that he was not comfortable taking for most of the series. For the most part, it worked until Game 7 in Miami for the title. LeBron punished their plan of forcing him to rely on his jumper. He scored 37 points, made 5 out of his 10 three-point shots, and hit the dagger mid-range pull-up to win back-to-back championships. The first title was a relief, but the second one was more difficult than he probably could imagine.
Like Spo said, first of all, I want to give a lot of credit to the San Antonio Spurs. First-class organization, they pushed us to the limit.
LeBron was in the middle of his basketball peak at this time, and even though the Heat were another year older with wear and tear up and down the roster, the Heat were still the favorites to win the 2014 title before the season began. He was battling history, and there was one test left: a three-peat. Standing in the way of that would once again be the San Antonio Spurs, setting up a third time LeBron would face the team in the finals. It was incredible the Spurs even made it back here considering the circumstances. A missed free throw and a corner 3 from the NBA's all-time leading three-point shooter at the time broke the Spurs in Game 6. Spurs point guard Tony Parker said he never saw his team so broken. Manu Ginobili said that game ruined him mentally. There was uncertainty about the future of Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and head coach Greg Popovich. But after having some time to think, Greg Popovich held a meeting with those 3 guys and decided that there's no way this is how they're going to go out. Popovich said this to ESPN: "As the summer wore on, I got angrier and angrier. I wanted to pull the guys back together and appeal to them and challenge them. I wanted to ask them, when you are kicked in the gut, how will you respond?" and Coach Pop kicked them in the gut one final time during a training camp film session in the fall of 2013. He showed the video of the Ray Allen shot to the entire team so they could mourn together and move on. Those were his words. And the Spurs did move on. They went on an all-out raid on the NBA, finishing the season with the league's best record and beating the OKC Thunder in 6 games to get back to the finals to face the Heat. Tim Duncan, a man who keeps to himself and famous for being boring to the media, made one of the best title guarantees that is rarely discussed. "We got 4 more to win, we'll do it this time. We're happy it's the Heat again, we'll be ready for them." The Spurs weren't just ready, they might have been over-prepared. Even though the Spurs were another year older with basically the same roster, they had a man outside of their historic Big Three in the wings, waiting for his moment, a third-year player from San Diego State named Kawhi Leonard.
I'm excited to be here. And you just expect on the court from me, just a hard-working guy that's always wanting to get better and improve every aspect on his game.
Leonard was already getting the reputation for being one of the best perimeter defenders in the previous year, but it was the 2014 season where he was stamped as one of the league's most feared defenders. Nearly 20,000 people in an arena on a random night during the NBA's 82-game regular season would watch Leonard delete perimeter players' impact nightly. Leonard had a nightmare combination of the most important traits in a perimeter defender: quick enough to stay in front of guards, strong enough to shrug off bigger forwards, and also had the timing and reaction speed to hawk lanes and be a playmaker. Kawhi was largely responsible for LeBron's worst game of the 2013 finals, holding in the 7 of 21 shooting while grabbing 12 rebounds and picking up 4 steals. The Spurs took a 2-1 lead in the finals rematch, just like they did in 2013, but the details were different. Even though LeBron was averaging 20 points on 60% shooting in the first 3 games of the finals, his MVP impact was being limited when Kawhi was on the court. Leonard used his length to deny the ball away from LeBron and force other Heat players to make plays. Over the first 3 games of the series, LeBron was held without a touch on 35% of the Heat's possessions when he was guarded by Kawhi. Against everybody else, he was held without a touch 25% of the time. LeBron was also attacking the basket less when guarded by Kawhi. According to ESPN stats, he only drove to the basket on 13% of his touches against Leonard. It jumped up to 22% against the non-Leonard Spurs. Not to mention, he was averaging more turnovers than assists in those first 3 games. More turnovers than assists, getting to the basket less, this was not the LeBron we know of. It takes a team to shut down number 1 options, but replace Kawhi with a league average forward, and that might be a different series even with the Heat's ancient roster. Kawhi did a masterful job of ball denial, forcing tough shots, and matching his strength at the point of attack. The Spurs embarrassed the Heat in games 4 and 5, Kawhi won Finals MVP, and the Miami Heat's era was over. 10 years later, Hibbert and Kawhi's career took very different paths, one not in the NBA, the other still able to affect the game at a superstar level when he is healthy. This is an era of basketball I always remember. Seeing the Spurs win the title in 2014 after suffering one of the craziest collapses the previous year was unreal. And that's it for me, man. I had a lot of fun doing research for this one and remembering a bunch of moments from these playoff battles. If you made it to the end, I appreciate it. I hope you liked it. I'll see you guys in my next one.